Assalamu alaikum. This is Shahrukh Mujumdar welcoming you all to the English news from BTV Chattogram. Let's begin with the headlines. Hearing ends against fascist Sheikh Hasina accusing July massacre case. Court order on 10th July. National Consensus Commission proposes amendments based on opinion of different political parties, says Ali Riaz. NCP's Long March approaching Nator, Chiratganj and Pabna, a part of month-long program. SSC and equivalent public exams results to be published on 10th July. Chittagong Dry Dock Limited takes operational responsibility of new mooring container terminal of Chittagong Port. Israel attacks massively on 3 ports and a power plant of Yemen. And youngsters of Bangladesh women football team get a Levanza reception as qualifying Women Asia Cup for first time. Those were the headlines. Now moving on to the details. The hearing for charges against former deposed Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and 2 others in a case over crimes against humanity committed during the July uprising has concluded. The tribunal will deliver its order on Thursday, July 10th. The hearing took place on Monday at International Crimes Tribunal 1, headed by Justice Muhammad Ghulam Murtuza Mujumdar along with 2 other members. On the day, state-appointed lawyer Amir Hussain represented Sheikh Hasina and former Home Minister Asaduzzaman Khan Kamal. The hearing began at 11:45 a.m., during which the defense argued that the allegations against Sheikh Hasina were unfounded, claiming that there was no war in 2024, but rather political unrest. The defense further argued that the International Crimes Act of 1973 does not apply to this incident. Based on these arguments, Amir Hussain appealed to the tribunal to relieve both Sheikh Hasina and Asaduzzaman Khan Kamal of the charges. At that time, the chief prosecutor countered by saying that crimes against humanity, considering their scale and gravity, are indeed prosecutable under the 1973 Act. Following the hearing, the tribunal set July 10th as the date to issue its order. Speaking to the press afterward, prosecutor M.H. Tamim stated that the arguments presented by the state-appointed defense lawyer seeking acquittal were not acceptable. He asserted that the legal and moral basis of the defense's arguments for acquittal is not sustainable. Meanwhile, although former Inspector General of Police Mamun was brought to the tribunal on Monday, no arguments were presented on his behalf during the hearing. The National Consensus Commission is not imposing any decisions on political parties, but rather preparing proposals by considering their opinions and concerns, said Vice President of the Commission, Professor Ali Riaz. He made the remarks at the beginning of the 10th day of second-phase discussions between the Commission and political parties held at the Foreign Service Academy's Doyle Hall in Dhaka today. Professor Riaz noted that many political parties have expressed reservations about the proposed National Constitutional Council, which is why the Commission has introduced alternative proposals for consideration. Members of the Commission present at the discussion included Dr. Iftikharuzaman, Dr. Badul Alam Majumdar, Shafur Raj Hussain, Dr. Muhammad Ayub Mia, and Munir Haider, Special Assistant to the Chief Advisor. A total of 30 political parties took part in the dialogue, including the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, BNP, Bangladesh Jamaat-e-Islami, National Citizen Party NCP, Gon Odhikar Porishad, Gon সংহতি Andolon, Communist Party of Bangladesh CPB, Revolutionary Workers Party, and the Amar Bangladesh Party AB Party. During today's session, discussions were held on three major issues: the expansion of subordinate courts at the Upazila level, the process of declaring a state of emergency, and increasing women's participation in politics. NCP leaders held several street corner meetings on the way to Sirajganj via Natur from Rajshahi today to press home their demands. NCP has been observing the month-long nationwide July walkathon to build our country since July 1st to press home its demands for justice, reformation and a new constitution. National Citizen Party convener Nahid Islam said they are going to all 64 districts with the July Declaration, the July Charter and our vision for a discrimination-free Bangladesh, and their journey will not stop. They took to the streets during the July mass upsurge with dreams and courage, and they want to send the same message. They are still on the streets, he added. The results of this year's SSC and equivalent exams will be published on July 10th. This information was shared today by Professor Dr. Khondakar Ehsanul Kabir, Chairman of the Dhaka Education Board and Head of the Inter-Education Board Coordination Committee. A total of 14,90,142 students took part in the SSC exams under 9 general education boards this year. Besides this, 2,94,726 students appeared under the Madrasa Education Board and 1,43,313 students took part under the Technical Education Board. Chittagong Dry Dock Limited under the Bangladesh Navy took over the responsibility of operating the much-discussed new Marine Container Terminal (NCT) at Chittagong Port. Port officials said Chittagong Port Authority transferred the terminal to Chittagong Dry Dock Limited for 6 months at midnight. In the meantime, preparations began for temporary management of the NCT. The dry dock and port staff are performing their duties at all operational points of the port. Chittagong Port Secretary Omar Farooq said the workers and employees who worked with the previous operator will remain with the NCT management. The terminal will operate as it has before. Only the management has changed. Surrounded by mountains, sea and plains, Chattogram is known as the Queen of the East due to its abundant natural beauty. Throughout all year round, tourists flock to this port city in search of a break from the hustle and bustle of modern life. One of the most popular tourist destinations in Chattogram is Potengah Beach. Located just 14 kilometers from the city center, it draws thousands of visitors daily. The scenic sight of ships anchored in the Bay of Bengal and the crashing waves create a mesmerizing backdrop for family outings and friendly get-togethers. Authorities have arranged seating areas, decorative lighting, security and a range of food and souvenir shops for the visitors. However, visitors have pointed out the need for improved cleanliness and a more organized environment, including fewer hawkers, to enhance the overall experience. Many visitors also noted that the Kornafuli Tunnel located nearby has further increased the number of tourists heading to Potengah. After visiting the tunnel, many people make their way to the beach to enjoy the refreshing sea breeze. Another popular tourist destination in Chittagong is Bhattiari DC Park. The vast expanse of water in the pond will captivate anyone's eyes. This tidy park has various attractions for children as well as adults, including toys and other equipment. The serene and peaceful environment will bring pure joy to the mind. For nature lovers, Bhattiari Lake is another noteworthy place for ecotourism. The beautiful and tranquil environment surrounded by hills here will instantly make you forget the hustle and bustle of urban mechanical life. There is an opportunity to row boats here for a fixed fee. The hills surrounded by greenery will remind you of the hilly areas. Additionally, Chittagong has significant tourist spots including Foy's Lake, War Cemetery, Batali Hill and Parky Beach, among others. not only as a port city but also for its natural beauty, historical sites and cultural amalgamation. Chattogram has become an unforgettable destination for tourists. Any travel enthusiast wishing to enjoy the beauty and diversity of Bangladesh should consider visiting Chattogram as an ideal place. Now, international news. Israel's military has bombed 3 ports and a power plant in Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen, prompting the rebel group to fire more missiles towards Israeli territory. The Israeli military said on Sunday that it struck the ports of Hodeidah, Ras Isa and As-Salif on the Red Sea coast, as well as the Ras Kathif power plant. There were no immediate reports of casualties. The Israeli attacks late on Sunday were the first on Yemen in almost a month and came after the military claimed that it intercepted a missile fired by the Houthis in the early hours of the day. The rebel group, which controls Yemen's most populous areas, responded to the latest Israeli attacks by launching more missiles at Israel in the early hours of Monday. The Israeli military said 2 missiles were fired from Yemen and that it attempted to intercept the projectiles. The attack set off sirens in the cities of Jerusalem, Hebron and near the Dead Sea. Israel's emergency service said there have been no reports of injuries of impact from the projectiles. Israeli forces have continued pounding on Gaza after killing at least 82 Palestinians on Sunday, including 10 people waiting for food aid. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump has said there is a good chance that a ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas could be reached this week. Trump's comments come as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is due in Washington, D.C., and as negotiations resume in Qatar's capital, Doha. Israel's attack on Gaza has killed at least 57,418 people and wounded 136,261, according to Gaza's health ministry. The death toll from the catastrophic floods that hit the state of Texas in the United States has risen to 82. As the search for the missing continues and officials face questions over a failure to evacuate people in hard-hit Carroll County. Texas Governor Greg Abbott said on Sunday that at least 41 people remain unaccounted for across the southern state 3 days after the deluge and that more could be missing. He promised authorities will continue to work around the clock to find the missing and warned that additional rounds of heavy rains lasting into Tuesday could produce more life-threatening flooding. In Carroll County, Sheriff Larry Lather said on Sunday that searchers have found the bodies of 68 people, including 28 children, many of whom went missing from Camp Mystic, a Christian summer camp for girls. Lather said 10 more girls and a counselor remain missing and pledged to keep searching until everybody is found. President Donald Trump sent his condolences to the victims and said he would probably visit the area on Friday. His administration had been in touch with Abbott, he added. Now news on sports. Football. The Bangladesh Football Federation welcomed home the national women's football team after their historic qualification for the AFC Women's Asian Cup for the very first time. The team received a celebratory reception at the Hatirjil Amphitheatre in Dhaka, marking a milestone in the country's football history. Bangladesh Football Federation stated that holding the event overnight ensured the entire team could be present for the recognition ceremony. Cultural Affairs Advisor Mustafa Sarwar Farooqi cheered as chief guest, among others, President of the Bangladesh Football Federation, Tabith Awal, former national team captain Aminul Haq, head coach of the women's national team, Peter Butler, were present on the occasion. The event celebrated not only the team's qualification but also the growing prominence of women's football in Bangladesh, which continues to break new ground. The players' determination and achievements have drawn widespread praise across social media and among sports officials. The team qualified for the AFC Women's Asian Cup after an impressive campaign showing resilience and tactical strength throughout the qualifying rounds. Their success marks a historic leap forward for women's sports in the country and is expected to inspire a new generation of female athletes.